What is going on, everybody? It is Dylan with Astrodfs bringing you a brand new video. Today's video, I'm going over Week 14's very ugly Thursday night showdown. Usually I'm happy, I'm excited to see of what type of potential plays we can make and go over the values and kind of dissect the game. This game is not that. This is going to be a ugly game. There's so many injuries going on right now with so many positions that matter that we don't know what's going to happen. So, obviously, we know for the Rams, Allen Robinson, Cooper Kupp, Matt Stafford all out. For the Raiders, Darren Waller is out. Hunter Renfrow is out. And then we have the questionables. So the quarterback for the Rams is not known right now. Wolford is supposed to be the starter. He's had a neck issue, was limited all week in practice, so not very clear if he is going to play. It appears that Perkins will start then if Wolford does not play. And then Baker is more than likely to be active is what the plan is that I hear. Now, this doesn't mean that Baker Mayfield just might not take the quarterback. The Rams go, hey, we're 3-9. Let's just see what we get out of Baker. You know, they didn't invest a lot into him. I think it was $1.5 million for the last 5 games, whatever it is. I don't know. The quarterback situation, I would love to talk about the Rams in this slate, but it's almost impossible because I don't know who's going to be the quarterback. I think if you get Perkins, if we hear that Perkins is the starter, he is $6,000 for a starting quarterback. That is a good play. That is a good payoff. Regardless if he does good or not, regardless if Baker gets in the game, you're paying $6,000 for a quarterback in a showdown. It's almost not, it's not really heard of. You can look on Fanduel. They have all 3 quarterbacks. Fanduel is prepared. They were ready for this. DraftKings, no. They were not ready for this. So Perkins at $6,000 if Wolford's out. And you hear the news that Perkins is starting. That is the most important news on this showdown is watching all the injury news. That is what I can tell you. Injury news for football games comes out an hour and a half before kickoff. So probably around 5:30, somewhere around there, we will hear that news. So it's really hard for me to talk about the Rams in general today. The only player that I know for sure is going to be on the field is Tyler Higbee. Tyler Higbee is the Rams tight end, 1, not hurt as of right now, and going to play. Obviously, you have Van Jefferson as well. You have Ben Skoranek down here. And then the third wide receiver is going to be between Tutu Atwell and Brandon Powell. So that's what we're looking at for the Rams. The other unclear thing is who the Rams running back is. Cam Akers all the way up here at 7,800 gets 17 carries for 60 yards last week and a reception. 19 fantasy points. Good. But then we go down to 5,400. Kyron Williams, who last week, 3 attempts for 9 yards, 1 target. The week before, 11 attempts, 3 targets. So it's very unclear to see who is the running back 1. Obviously, I would say Cam Akers should get more volume than Kyron Williams. But I just don't know. Like, it is not clear. There's not a lot of signs pointing to one guy taking over or not. And it makes it difficult. So what do we know for sure for the Rams? We know Tyler Higbee is going to be on the field. We know Van Jefferson's going to be on the field. And we know Ben Skoranek's going to be on the field. The news that we're watching for is who the wide receiver 3 for the Rams is. Tutu Atwell, Brandon Powell pretty much splitting snaps of who's getting in the game. One of them is going to obviously be on the field. But if Ben Skoranek, Van Jefferson get some plays off of somebody else getting more snaps. I like Brandon Powell now. He is a value play for me under that $3,000 range that we like to talk about on DraftKings. We go down on FanDuel. And Brandon Powell, 7,500. More expensive than both Kyron Williams and Tutu Atwell and Ben Skronik. So on FanDuel, he's not as much of a value play for me. On DraftKings, he's below everybody, so that's where you get value. Being one of the most targeted receivers, if you go and look at his targets per route run, he's got a 28% target share. He doesn't have a lot of routes, so it's not saying that, oh yeah, he's getting a lot of targets and volume and stuff. 8 targets in 3 games. So it's not saying a lot. You look at his fantasy points too. He gets 4.5 out of the rushing game last week. So you're looking at about 8 points. Honestly, I think Van Jefferson is probably the guy. For me, Ben Skronik, yes, another one. I think maybe just full and full, I avoid the Rams players as much as I can when I'm making my lineups. It's really what it comes down to. I mean, you look at the pricing on FanDuel. Obviously, the 3 Raiders players, Jacobs, Adams, Carr, are the 3 most expensive. But Cam Akers, Van Jefferson, Tyler Higbee at $8K too on FanDuel. That's kind of odd that he's priced there. Foster Moreau is priced higher than him. It's odd. So let's get to the Raiders. Let's get to the more comfortable side. So what do we know about the Raiders? We know Devontae Adams, Derek Carr, Foster Moreau. Josh Jacobs is questionable, but it leans towards him playing. There hasn't been a lot of talk of him not playing. You keep going down on the Raiders side. I think I passed Mac Hollins. There we go. 7,400 Mac Hollins as well. And then we go and try to find our other Raiders wide receiver. And that's Keelan Cole. Is a wide receiver 3 for the Raiders. Look at his targets. Nothing impressive. But he is the minimum on the Showdown. The minimum. The Rams could be down another corner. We already know they're going to be down Aaron Donald, which is huge. So Keelan Cole all the way down here at 200 is definitely a value play. I mean, I say it for those who aren't too familiar with Showdowns and how to make lineups. Typically, you don't want to have one lineup. You're depending on everything to kind of go your way. You want to have 5 to 10 lineups so you get some type of variance in this slate. If you can max out and do a 150, by all means, power to you. But Keelan Cole at 200, if you're running a max, you want to have exposure to Keelan Cole by all means. Anytime you get a bare minimum price, that's what you want to expose yourself to. We go on FanDuel. And this is what I mean, a FanDuel, like Keelan Cole should be 5K, but they kind of know that he's the 3rd wide receiver. Not saying that he's good enough to outsnap anybody on the Raiders, but it is what it is. He's going to get routes. So that is what we're looking on the Raiders side. So Josh Jacobs, good play for me. Overall, the Rams are just so banged up offensively, defensively. It's not looking good. It's not. Rocky Sin's out for the Raiders, so, missing another corner is something to look at. So that's where you start to like your Van Jefferson and stuff like that. But honestly, I think this is a slate, a showdown where you take what you can do. I would like to talk about, like I normally do, if you guys have been here before, I like to talk value and find all this. Keelan Cole, that's pretty much it for me right now, is $200 Keelan Cole. Abdul is there at 3K. I like Powell if Powell ends up playing, but other than that, there's so many injuries. Now, if Powell's out, Trammell, obviously at 600 becomes a huge value play. But Tutu Atwell, for 4,400 isn't bad. Both kickers are obviously in a slate like this, in play. You want to get exposure to kickers in a game like this. The Raiders defense, you want to have upper ownership of. 1, you don't know who the quarterback is, and 2, they're so banged up. Even on the offensive line, they're banged up. So, we know what the Raiders do. They like to blow leads. They like to get a hot start and then kind of not hang on to it. So, For me, this is just getting guys that I know are going to get volume and be on the field and hopefully healthy. So I want Devontae Adams, I want Josh Jacobs, I want Derek Carr. Those three I want a lot of exposure to tomorrow. I watch the quarterback news. You play it. You obviously have to play quarterbacks and get exposure to both quarterbacks. If Perkins is in, I'd probably get a little more exposure to him, especially on DraftKings. On FanDuel, I mean, not as much. Like on FanDuel, honestly, I'm fading all Rams quarterbacks on FanDuel. I don't think I can get much exposure. It's not a full fade of I'm playing 0% if I'm playing 150 lineups, but I'm not going to get a lot. I'm not. It's just too expensive for you don't know what happens. If Wolford's in. Let's say Wolford's in. There's a good chance he gets hurt. The Rams offensive line is so banged up, and we know that the Raiders have I would say a good pass rush. If he gets hurt, guess what? Maybe Bryce Perkins goes in. Maybe Baker goes in. Wolford's out. Who's the starting quarterback? We'll find out. But that doesn't mean if Perkins is a starting quarterback, Baker doesn't come in. If Baker's a starting quarterback, doesn't mean that Perkins doesn't come in. I on FanDuel do not really want to play any of those quarterbacks as much as I can. DraftKings, I look, if Wolford's out, yes, have exposure to Perkins. Getting a 6K quarterback is almost a cheat code on DraftKings. So then I want to target someone like a Foster Monroe, who, yes, he's not a high volume guy. We've seen last year when Waller was out, he got a lot of volume. That was when they did not have Devontae Adams. This year, they have Devontae Adams. He gets volume. Foster Moreau, 3 to 7 targets is good for me. 6,600. I'm not breaking the bank there. Tyler Higbee, 6,200. Van Jefferson, 6,400. These three guys are guys that I want to get in that tier of. Matt Collins, obviously another playable guy for me. You look at his targets, and his targets are up there as well. Jalen Ramsey is more than likely going to see the most. Keelan Cole. But Jalen Ramsey lines up everywhere. They might have him on Adams all game. But we know how good Adams is, and you see that connection kind of forming between Carr and Adams. I think next year they're going to be a lot more efficient and well off. This year it's just not looking so good. But Van Jefferson, Moreau, Higbee, those guys I want. I'd like to say get exposure for Kyron Williams, but I'm not there yet. I want to get Raiders defense exposure. I want to get the kickers. Brandon Powell, if he's in, and you don't hear about a sickness, yes. Keelan Cole, if you're playing a lot of lines, yes, get him in. Trammell, if Powell is out, he's going to get snaps. Doesn't mean he's going to be efficient, but for $600, you're saving a pretty penny. So let's get into it and just make a demonstration line of some stuff that I like. So I am just going to go ahead. It's breaking the bank on DraftKings. I'm going to put Devontae in there as my captain. I want Derek Carr as well. We're going to try to find value somewhere. So let's just, for the sake of the video, put Keelan Cole in there. It allows us to get some salary. If we were to put Josh Jacobs, we get 4K. There's not really a lot there. If we play Powell, we get 5,600. We can't really afford any of those mid-tier guys. I don't like that. Let's try to restructure here. So let's look at Derek Carr. I think Adams is still the captain. I want to get exposure to, you have to get exposure to Josh Jacobs. Let's find a way. I want those guys. I want those three. That is my core. What can I do? Let's put Keelan Cole in there again. Let's put the Raiders defense. That leaves us with Brandon Powell. A 5-stack on the Raiders. So, obviously, that's not something that you just fully send out and just say, yep, this is it. But of having the three main trusted guys in Adams, Jacobs, Carr, obviously we know the Raiders defense has not been great at all, and been exposed plenty of times. So this isn't anything by a very good line, but just trying to see what would it look like with Adams, Jacobs, and Carr, the three on the Raiders side in a lineup, and then just affording it by getting Keelan Cole and a value. And you have to play a guy on both sides of Brandon Powell. So that's an example on DraftKings. On Fanduel, let's see what we could do. So obviously I want Devontae Adams number 1. I want Derek Carr, and I want Josh Jacobs again. 62. There is not a lot that we could do on this. I don't know if there's much of any that we could do with this. So, like, if we play Keelan Cole, that gives us 65, and we can afford, like, Ben Skoranek. But I don't love that either. So, let's fade Josh Jacobs. We get a lot more money to kind of mess around with. So, let's put Tyler Higbee in there. Let's put the Raiders defense in there. And then we can afford Van Jefferson. So, that is just an example. Yet again, guys, just trying to make something pretty out of a very ugly showdown, in my opinion. Hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. If you guys are interested in joining us, that link will be in the description down below. And I will see you guys on either Saturday night or Sunday. Look for the cash for Week 14. Going to go over some of the players to consider putting in your lineup. So I know you guys are usually interested in that. So if you are, tune into that. And I will see you guys in the next one.